S 1450 AM and W272EK 102.3 FM, licensed to New Bern, North Carolina. Welcome to the Commissioner Mary Perkins-Williams Show, live here on the Awesome Radio Network. My name is Akila. I'm filling in for the Commissioner as she takes a well-deserved break for this season. Well, the Mary Perkins-Williams Show provides information, news, awareness, and education to our community, Pitt County and beyond. Today we have returning guest Kent Keeter. He is the environmental health supervisor for Pitt County, and we have a new guest. Her name is Britney Riddick, and she is the food and lodging supervisor. Very interesting conversation that we will have on today, and I am ready to get right in it. Now, if you have any questions for Kent or Brittany, you can call us at 252-756-2008. Hello, New Bern. Hello, Rocky Mount. Hello, Pitt County, Greenville, Winterville area. Thank you so much for tuning in to us. So last week, we talked with Kent, and Kent, tell us again, what is environmental health?
So environmental health, the basis behind it is to protect people's health by limiting the things that are unhealthy to them in the environment. So that could be human waste, making sure that there is no human waste in the environment that they can come in contact with, that their septic systems are working properly, making sure that they have clean water, because if you have clean water, you don't bring diseases in. And Brittany deals with food and lodging, so she's making sure that restaurants are clean, they're handling the food, they're cooking the food properly, so that when they eat that food, they do not get sick from eating it. So it's preventing people from getting sick by making sure that their environment is clean.
Okay, so Brittany, I was going to ask you the same thing, but he answered your comment that you were supposed to do. So Brittany Riddick, tell us about you and what is food and lodging for those who may be new, okay?
All right, so a little bit about me. I started out in actually New Bern as a inspector there back in 2014. Then I transitioned over here to Pitt County in 2018. But a little bit about food and lodging. So like Kent was stating that we do inspections for restaurants. We also do lodging, but we also go out to your local confinements. We also do nursing homes. And residential cares are some of the things that we do, as well as like meat markets and all of that. So everything that deals with kind of sanitation, we kind of have our hand into it when it deals with the public.
Okay, so what is it that you're looking for when you go to a daycare?
So daycare isn't under my umbrella, but I'm gonna try to remember because it's been a while since I've done one. But with those, we do look at how like sleeping mats, we want to make sure that they are protected when they get photos. We look at the food that they have inside of them. Also how they disinfect the area where they change the diapers and the or have to clean up the keys. We make sure that is properly disinfected. So also we go outside in the playground area to make sure all of the equipment is safe, no sharp objects or anything like that.
So then is your department or a department within the environmental health, are you the ones who give them the grades, like the 5 stars and stuff like that?
So the 5-star is their licensed agency that does
That's
that.
with the state.
Yes,
Okay.
so that's with the state, but we are in there as well. So ours is called demerits.
Okay.
So yeah, so we are the ones that you'll see, and they have like this 5 demerits, and it may go up even higher, but they get approved, unapproved, and things like that. That's how we classify it.
Okay, and is this the same thing with the adult daycare as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and group home sanitation?
Yes.
All righty. So sanitation, what is that?
So you mean like what again? What we're looking for? in
Yes.
that? So it's gonna be kind of similar in a group home or residential care is what we call it. We look at again the cleanliness of the linen, the beds, the bathrooms. We also look in the kitchen to make sure food is properly date marked and it's holding food at the correct temperature. We also check windows, the AC units, make sure there's no mold or build up in there. There's also if they make sure they don't have any pests like that might live in the windows or whatnot. So we check all of those little crevices as well when we go through that.
Now, say you do see a little pest. in the cracks and crevices of the window, or you might see mold in the refrigerator. What do you do?
So most of those think if we see either one of those, the PIC, which is the person in charge, they would normally either try to correct their action on site. So they'll probably either go ahead and get something to get that insect or whatever we might have seen. Same thing with like mold in the refrigerator, they'll go ahead and clean that out. And we'll normally write it up on a report that it was corrected while we were there. But if it is an infestation, they're going to have to contact a certified pest control company to come out and fix the issue, because it's probably something they can't do in-house.
So then if I were interested in opening up my own child care service,
Okay.
what is it that I need to know?
Okay, I might have you answer that, because I haven't, like I said, I haven't done childcare in a while.
With childcare, you are licensed through the state, and we do sanitation inspections, but we don't hold their license. We're not the permitting agency on that. So you would have to contact the state to go through the permitting licensure, and that's not something we really do. But once you get that, you would also go through our inspections, and we would take a look at it for cleanliness. And if we see something, we would report that to the licensing agents for the states.
Okay.
So that's a little on the edge of what we do with childcare.
Okay.
But it's but it is an important part of what we do, because we are the eye. The state just doesn't have that many people to go inspect, and we have more people, to be able to do those. So we're kind of the eyes and ears of the state on some of this stuff. When we see it, we can report it if it's a big issue.
Okay. Well, then let's move on to food safety and service sanitation.
Okay.
That's you, right?
Yes, that's me.
Okay, that's you. All right. So it's getting warmer. I'm setting the stage, okay?
Okay.
It's
Oh, I'm
getting
scared.
warmer. And I want to have a little, this is scenario, okay? It's
Okay.
not true.
Okay.
I want to have a little side gig. So I want me a little push cart hot dog stand or a ice cream stand or something. What is it that I need to know before I just jump out and put something on the corner?
Okay. So
Or can I just put something on the corner? No, I
Now,
can't.
unless it's like a lemonade stand, but even then you probably have to talk to the different municipalities to make sure you can even do that. But
Okay.
so one of the things you mentioned we don't regulate if it's just ice cream. So that's the Department of Ag. So
Department of who?
Department of Ag, the agriculture.
Ag. Oh, okay.
Yes. So you would have
Okay.
to go through them to find out what type of permitting or license you would need for them.
For ice cream.
Yeah, for ice cream. Now, for hot dogs, that is our realm. So,
Okay.
Yeah, so if you want to do one, you have to be affiliated with a commissary. So a commissary is any restaurant that's permitted here in Pitt County can serve as a commissary. So that is where you will house your food, where you will wash your dishes, your storage, if you need water. Well, most push carts don't have a wastewater tank or a freshwater tank, but some of them do have like a hand sink, but it's not required on a push cart. But if they do, that's where you will get your water and dispose of your wastewater. So that is the hardest thing for most push carts or mobile food unit is finding a commissary.
Okay.
Because again, you cannot work at the same time that restaurant is open. So
Really?
so like if they come to Britney's kitchen,
Okay.
they want me to serve as their commissary, and I'm open from 10 to 10. They have to come in and work maybe 6 to 9 because I have to come in at 9 to prep. So they can only work from 6 in the morning to 9, or maybe 11 until 6
In the morning.
in the
And-
morning, because
and-
they cannot operate the same time I'm in there.
In the
because-
commissary.
In the commissary. So far as using the commissary to prep. So
Okay.
not saying they can't sell food, but they have to prep any food
Oh, okay. Okay.
inside my commissary.
Okay.
Because at Brittany's Kitchen, they can't be in at the same time prepping their food because we don't want cross contamination.
Okay.
So they
I
can
got
only
you.
prep their food when I'm closed.
So can I prep my food then on my truck?
Yes, you can, but some people might not have all of the equipment that they need on their truck. They might just only have like hot holding wells and cold holding wells. So like maybe massive cooking can't be accommodated on their truck. So that's why they need an actual commissary to do those things.
So then for a push cart hot dog stand, I don't need mass cooking, right?
Right.
I just need to warm up my burner for my hot dogs.
So the only sad thing I would say probably about a push cart, they don't have a spot to have a 3-comp sink and things like a hand washing station. So they have to be associated with a commissary because they don't have a place to wash dishes and things. But you are correct. They don't need a whole lot of storage. So they really can just say like if I am open at 10, they just want to come grab the hot dogs and leave, that's fine. They can do that.
Okay.
But they just cannot say, hey, I want to chop up my hot dogs before I leave out while I'm open. They can't
Onion,
do
yeah,
that.
dice your
Or
onions.
dice onions or whatever.
Chili.
Or chili and things like
Okay.
that. They can't do that.
Okay. But I can dice my onions up on my cart.
No, it already has to come in a ready to cook form. Because again, you don't have the necessary items out there to properly wash your hands and do things like that to prep. So
Well,
already,
what if I wear gloves?
so gloves are good as a barrier. So because we don't want bare hand contact with those items. But again, you have no spot to wash your hands prior to you putting those gloves on.
Oh.
It's all about sanitation. What you was asking earlier, we need to make sure your hands are properly been sanitized and clean.
Okay. So what if I just, I know the information, right?
Yes.
But I want to find a loophole.
Okay.
So what if I just push my little cart out there on the corner and I have my ready-made stuff. I have my onions and stuff diced up. I can do this from home though, right? I
No.
can dice up my onions from the house, make my chili on my own stove, and then bring it out there. Now I could be associated with the commissary, but I didn't prepare. I didn't prep at the commissary. I prepped at home.
So that will be what we consider an unapproved source of food because you prepared it somewhere other than your commissary.
Well, how will you know that though?
Through questioning, and hopefully they tell us the truth. So, I mean, that's
Okay.
just being honest.
And,
Yeah.
Okay.
and you do inspect the commissaries as
Yeah.
well. So if you see there's no activity there,
Yeah, because the commissary getting inspected because it's a restaurant, and we'll ask like, "Hey, has Brittany's hot dog cart been coming by?" And someone's like, "Oh no, I ain't seen her in 3 months." We're like, "Hold up now, where have you been going?" So then again, we'll still have to ask
Okay.
her like, "We know that you're not going. You have to go." It's kind of back and forth to be honest, because again, we're really relying on the owner to be honest with us.
Okay.
Now you do have people that might do that same scenario. Oh well, I'm actually going there. He's not there when I'm coming in there because he's not operating. But
So that's why he hadn't seen me in
Yes,
3 months.
Yes. So
Okay.
and then we're like, what else can we do? Because we have to go off of what they're saying. So it does kind of get a little. We got to get our questions and kind of work them to ask proper questions to try to get the truth out of them. And, you know. So yeah.
and then we do have the thing when it goes wrong, when we do have foodborne illnesses that come from these things, and this stuff comes to light, and there's a
Yes.
lot of legal ramifications to doing it
on wood.
improperly, especially if people get sick. So
Yep.
we want to make sure it doesn't come to that.
Does that happen often though, foodborne illnesses?
Not often. We haven't had a large one since probably that turkey thing with Andy. So that was back in what 2000
It's
and
been about 6 years, 5 years.
it was before me. So yeah. So it's
Okay.
a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But so I'm gonna say about 20, probably about 14, 15. They had one that did have to go to court and all of that stuff prior to me getting here. But no, we haven't had one to that magnitude. So
And that's the lack of that is, a sign of success.
yes,
So
it is. I was
we-
gonna say that is a
That's
good
a
thing.
sign
good record.
of
A si-
success?
Yes,
Okay.
of not having that. That is a sign because that means that the restaurant owners and managers are trying their best to do the right thing. It also means that I have 6 people that work under me. That means that we are doing what we're supposed to when we're going in there. We're finding things that are out of date or the wrong temperature. We're getting them to voluntarily discard it. We're like, you do not want to put the public at risk. You don't want to be on the news for saying that you made X, Y, Z. Many people say you don't want that type of publicity. So most times they will go ahead and voluntarily discard those items.
But I'm gonna knock on wood because it could happen tomorrow.
Look, that's what I said.
So we don't want to jinx it. We want to make sure that doesn't happen.
So what would be an expiration date? How long?
So we go by the North Carolina Food Code, and they have 7 days max that they can hold food out. Hold food at 41 or below. And the day one that you prep it counts. There is a way that you can extend it is by freezing it. So say if you had some ribs and you already had it out for 3 days, but you're going to close for the weekend, you're only open, you can actually freeze those ribs and that stops the time. And then when you throw them out, you have 4 days left. You already had them out for 3.
But
So-
record keeping, they have to keep the
Yes.
records on that.
So I can freeze already cooked food for leftovers
Yes.
and serve them the next day.
Well, if you're gonna serve it the next day, I wouldn't freeze it because then you
Okay.
got to go through the whole thawing process, and that's a whole process
Okay.
as well. But if you know that you're gonna be closed for, I'm gonna say like you going on vacation for 2 weeks, but you don't want to lose your food and discard it,
Right.
you can freeze those ribs or things that can be frozen, and you can save it that way. It will stop the time.
Okay. All right. You're listening to the Awesome Radio Network. This is the Commissioner Mary Perkins-Williams Show, providing information, education, awareness to our community. So today we're talking with Kent Keeter and Britney Riddick. They are from the Pitt County Environmental Health Department. And we're talking about food and safety and sanitation services. What to do if I'm thinking about a food cart? What to do if I'm thinking about a food truck, hot dog stand? What information do I need? So if this is you and you have questions, 252-756-2008. New Bern, Rocky Mount, Greenville, Winterville, Pitt County area. If you're thinking about a food truck, you want a little hot dog stand. I say little hot dog stand because it doesn't have to be humongous, right?
It has to be on a cart. So
It has to be on a cart, but it doesn't have to be like a truck pulling
Oh, no.
diesel or anything like
No.
that. 252-756-2008. So my hot dog cart, does it have to be a certain size, or it can be a little teeny little thing?
So I guess go through the process of somebody bringing one in, kind of what you do and how you look at it and approve it.
So sometimes they come in custom built, but you can definitely buy one commercial. So we look at the surfaces, so it has to be smooth and easily cleanable. They have to have, like the hot holding wheels, and then they also can have a cold holding wheel, like say if people want to put slaw or the sauerkraut, so they need to keep that cold. So hot dog carts are probably truly one of the easiest permits to get, as long as everything is smooth, no sharp edges or whatnot, and you have your commissary already lined up. Because they don't require a hand sink, they don't require a 3-comp sink or a 1-comp sink for dishwashing. So that's why that one's a little easier. But I tell people, like, make sure when they get hot dog carts, make sure you have the clientele, because we do have a lot of turnover with that, because they like the idea, but no one's, I'm not gonna say no one. It's not common. People saying, "Oh, I want a hot dog,"
Yeah.
And I tell people we're not like up north where a hot dog cart is on the corner because a lot of foot traffic.
Yes.
Being in the country, we don't have that. So sometimes
Right.
they come down like, "Oh, that'll be great," but then 3 months or 4 months later, we are closing them out because like I didn't do well, and they're selling it. So that's one of the downsides of it. So
See if you agree. I would recommend before you buy anything, bring us what you're going to buy and have us look at it as part of the, an application or just a informal meeting,
right.
because people buy things all the time that don't meet our
Right,
rules, and then
right.
they're stuck. Someone's trying to unload something on, or they're getting something from another state, or
Right.
so especially with food trucks, maybe not so much with hot dog carts,
Yeah.
but
And we
yeah,
try
don't-
not to discourage them, like don't do it, but but we want to say, hey, make sure you've done your
Yeah.
your homework when
Yeah.
it comes to that.
So we
far as
will
that.
look at stuff ahead of time before you buy it and tell you, if it meets our rules or not.
So before I go out and jump on something, I need to contact you first. So how do I get in touch with you?
So you can call our office at Pitt County Environmental Health at 252-902-3200. That's the main line.
Okay.
And then it'll get you in contact with the food and lodging section or with the admin, and they can help direct you to whichever
Right.
department that you need.
Okay. So that's 252-902-3200
And that's
All right.
inside of Pitt County.
inside of Pitt
If you're in
County.
another county, you need to call that county's health department if you're going to work in that county. So if you're in Nash County or Edgecombe County over in Rocky Mount, you would need to call that county that you're in, that you're going to work in.
Okay.
Well,
If you're
can
based out- if
can
you're
I
based
say,
out-
yeah, but I want to add on to that because
Okay.
when he was saying work in, so the commissary determines where you would get your permit.
Okay.
So what he was saying is, so if you're, like I said, I'm Brittany, I'm here in Pitt County, but you have yours in Lenoir County, and can't say, hey, I want to bring my truck to you. In Lenoir County, you would get your permit in Lenoir County, but Kent says, hey, I want to work in Pitt County. He still can work in Pitt County, but his permit would be through Lenoir. So
They can cross county lines,
Yes.
but where their commissary is determines where they're permitted.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm from Lenoir County. So my commissary then will be in Lenoir County, or my permit
If
will
that's
be
where
in.
your commissary.
Yeah.
Okay, so my license will have to be in the same county as my commissary.
Yes, because
Okay.
even though, so I can't go outside of Pitt County lines to permit or even
Okay.
inspect.
Okay.
So if that is where you are, then you can, with your truck, you can come cross county lines, but we can't currently, I would say that, 'cause I know they're
Gotcha.
working on it, but right now I can't inspect outside of Pitt County.
Okay. All righty. So I can travel.
Yes, you can travel.
Okay. Awesome.
And a part of that traveling, you have to keep your county that you're permitted in updated with your list of where you're going, as well as the county that you're going to. Because you're on wheels, it's hard to keep track. It's not like a brick and mortar where we know that spot is always going to be there. So you have to, again, it's a lot on our owner to keep us informed as well. Now, do they always do it? No, they don't.
Yeah.
So we have to.
If you're gonna set up in front of, the hardware store in, in Greenville on a Saturday, they're supposed to call us and let us know that's where they're gonna be.
Right,
Or email us, they're supposed to let us know. That way we have the opportunity to go inspect them there.
right.
Oh. If I'm from another county, I have to call you to tell you that I'm going to set up at the hardware store,
Yes.
and then you're going to inspect me, even though I'm not
Well,
licensed
well,
to
So-
Pitt County.
Or just add on that, might not inspect you, but we're going to call to verify that your permit is still valid.
Okay.
And make sure that you're still in good standings with the county that you're coming out of. Because sometimes people will get their permit suspended because, like you were saying before, you might not be going back to your commissary. So that county has suspended you. But again, they're on wheels and they're still operating. So now they're operating illegally. So if they come here to Pitt County, we're going to nicely ask them to leave because we don't want them selling food to our
Unpermitted.
patrons unpermitted, and we don't know, and they haven't been inspecting them, so we're not going to put y'all at risk if we know about it.
Okay.
So yeah, they'll have to go.
Now, what if I plan to be here the whole weekend, and I'm not from Pitt County scenario, right? So I'm coming from Craven County.
Yep.
I'm permitted there. I got my commissary there, but I'm going to spend Friday and Saturday in Pitt County with my food truck or hot dog stand. Now, I'm not going back to Craven County Friday night.
So
I'm going to spend the night.
So you did good because you only said 2 days. So you're okay with 2 days.
Okay.
Because the rule says they have to return to their commissary daily. So we can consider that you went to your commissary that Friday morning. You stay here Saturday, and then at Saturday evening when you're whatever you're setting up at is over, Saturday night you're returning to your commissary. Now, if you had said 3 days, we got a problem because you're not now following what the rule says that you're supposed to be, following. So you need to return to your commissary daily.
Daily.
Yes, it's what the rule says.
So Friday and Saturday, I'm good. But if I want to do Friday, Saturday, and Sunday,
You in violation.
that's a problem.
Yes.
Okay.
you've not had the opportunity to
Yes.
wash your
Yeah.
your utensils and clean your cart, and it becomes an issue.
Right.
So then what if I had a neighboring commissary? Say my cousin own a restaurant here in Pitt County, and they let me go
The only
there.
time we allow something like that is in conjunction with an event. So like a temporary food establishment permit. So like just matter of fact, like the Watermelon Festival, we just had that in Winterville. And that was over 2 days. So we had at least one person, they do it, I think every year they get permissions because they have to fill out a form to use a different restaurant to serve as that commissary during that time frame because they can't go back to the other because it's further than that.
Yeah.
So that is the only time we allow that within conjunction with an event.
Okay. All
And then just to add to what you asked me earlier about the inspection part, if it is a food truck that got permitted in Craven County and they never operate in Craven because they just love Pitt County so well.
Yeah.
The inspector can ask us as a courtesy, like, "Hey, Brittany, can you or someone on your staff conduct their inspection?" And we will, and we have done that for them, and they have done that the same for us.
Okay. So in case you're just tuning in, this is the Awesome Radio Network. We have Britney Riddick and Kent Keeter from the Pitt County Environmental Safe Department, Environmental Health Department. We're talking about food trucks and mobile food, hot dog carts, the sanitation, the inspections, the whole nine works. So in case you want to have your very own push cart food truck in Pitt County, the number to call before you set up and get your feelings hurt that you have to shut down because you're in violation, the number to dial for more information, 252-902-3200. That's 252-902-3200. We have 24 minutes left in today's show. So, Brittany,
Yes, ma'am.
tell me again, you inspect, but you don't do the sanitation grade.
So we do for restaurants. So
Okay.
So with restaurant mobile food units and push carts, you will see a sanitation rating. They have to have it posted when you enter the building, so that way you can see it. So if it has three, I know we're gonna talk about push carts and hot dogs, but I'm just gonna talk just a little about restaurants. But if they have like 3 entrances, everywhere door they come in, it should be a grade card, so that way they can see when they enter upon. Same thing for drive-through. When you ride by, you should be able to see the grade card. If you do not, please call our office, so that way we can make sure that that place gets one added. So it's no different with a mobile food unit and a push cart. They should have their grade card posted. Now, if it's some place that's newly permitted, they won't have that readily available because they haven't had their first inspection.
Okay.
So within the first 30 days of them opening, well, really from them getting that permit, we have to get an inspection done. Now, if they go longer than that, they say, "Hey, I'm getting my permit today because they met all the requirements, but we're not going to open for another 2 months." As soon as they open, we try to go and get the inspection done, so that way they can have their grade card posted.
They have to operate for a little while to make
Yeah.
sure, because when they're brand new, they're clean. So
Yeah.
we want to
And-
inspect them, pretty
right.
much, we want to inspect them after they've operated. So
And give them a chance to
yeah.
work out the little kinks they might have. We don't want to rush in there and think we're trying to get them an "I got you" type moment. We really want to see them doing great work. But if we see them doing stuff wrong, we stop them, we educate them, and then, like I said, if we have to voluntarily discard the food, we'll get them to discard the food.
So you do the grades, not the health department.
Well, we're under the umbrella
yeah.
of the health department.
Oh, okay.
So environmental
Okay.
health falls under the health department. So
Okay.
they might not say environmental. Maybe it's too many syllables in there, but yeah,
Okay.
we're all underneath the health department.
So let me make sure I heard you correctly. Food hot dog cart does get a grade,
Yes.
right? So it has to be displayed.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. In restaurants. So what is a temporary food establishment?
So that is the temporary food shop is going to be in conjunction with events. So like the Power Fest, the Watermelon Festival, the Shad, in New Bern, they had the Mum Fest. So any of those would be considered an event. And then that is where people can actually set up tent setups. It's not always going to be a push cart or a mobile food unit. And they can come and set up a tent, but they'll have, it's a checklist they have to meet, and they'll be able to sell food during that time only. Once the event is over, that permit is no longer valid.
Is there a cost for that?
$75.
70. Ooh,
And they have to
okay.
turn in their application 15 days prior to the event. That's what gets some people, because we turn them away because we have to have time to review the application and make sure everything lines up. So some might come like maybe 3 days, like, "I'm sorry, we can't take your application because you have to turn it in 15 days prior to that event."
All right, so I'm outdoors. I have my food truck or hot dog stand, and there are flies buzzing around. Do I have to have some type of pest control there?
Not with the push cart or the mobile food unit, but if you are a tent setup, part of their rules say they have to have either mesh siding or fans.
Okay. And the fans is to blow away the flies.
From the food. Yep.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So then, you are an inspector, and I don't know it, right?
Right.
But you come up to my hot dog cart, and you see me do something like this, or like this.
Or no gloves on and touch
Yeah,
the
or no glove.
bread.
Will you say something to me right then, or you'll just take mental notes?
No, I step in.
You'll step in.
I have a problem with that, as my family
Okay.
would say. Because I could be out on a family function, and they're like, Brittany, you're not working. I say, yes, I am. I can't help it. So normally, if again, it's only in Pitt County. I don't do it anywhere else. But if it's Pitt County, I'm like, hey, I'm Brittany. I'll introduce myself. Sometimes if I have my badge in the car, I might run back and get my badge so I can show them that I'm not just making stuff up. But I would say, hey, I'm Brittany. I'm the food and line supervisor. But I'm like, I just witnessed you doing this. I really need you to discard that, wash your hands or put on gloves, and ask them to. And most time, like, oh, that their eyes kind of like, oh my God, I got caught. And they're like, yes, ma'am. And they'll just do as I said. I never,
Okay.
knock on wood, I haven't had anybody say, nope, I'm not doing it or whatnot. So,
Okay. Wow.
But you do identify yourself. You do
Yes,
try to have
yes.
your badge or ID with you. I carry
Okay.
mine with me.
Okay.
So that way, because they don't know if they don't know who we are, I mean,
Right.
people will come up and do that, and they shouldn't. So we want to make sure that
Yeah.
we properly identify ourselves. And most restaurant owners know you and know your staff.
Right, yeah.
Because we've
this
been
was at a
dealing with it.
festival, and the young lady that was getting the food, she mouthed me, thank you. Because, I mean, she could see them, but sometimes I
Yeah.
guess the public might be scared to say anything.
Yeah, yeah.
So I said, I'm going to need you to stop, discard that, put some gloves on. So, yeah.
Half of it is education. The other half is voluntary compliance
Yep.
to us asking to do it. And
Okay. Now, what if you see someone with no gloves on at a festival or something, right? And they do something that's a little unclean. They have no way of washing their hands. So what do you
So
do?
they do. So,
They do?
So that's the part of the setup. So they have to
Oh,
have a mobile or portable. They'll set up like a gallon jug that's free flowing. So the water has to be free flowing. So it might be like a spout. And they'll have a 5-gallon bucket to catch the water. They will have soap, and then they will also have paper towels. So they do have it set up
Okay.
for the tent setup. Same thing with the be able to wash, rinse, sanitize. They'll have 3 basins set up out there with water, one with the soap, one plain water, and then one with a little bit of sanitize. Most people use bleach, and they will have the testers and make sure that they're correct strength. So all of that is set up at the event. So they do
Okay.
have a way. Now, if they don't wash, then we're going to say, hold on, again, we need you to discard whatever you touch, properly wash your hands, and then put on gloves.
Okay. All right. So I'm having a one-time community event.
Okay.
We're giving away the food.
Okay.
What do I need to know?
All right. So, keyword, you said you're giving it away. So you are eating it at your own free will. And
Okay.
so what we expect is what people are making for profit. So with that, we're like, hey, we don't say anything to anyone's giving away food. And if you, as the event coordinator, come say, hey, Brittany, I want to make sure the food is safe, that it's going out there. Even though we're giving away, we can provide you with some safe handling mechanism and things like that, but we don't have to inspect. We're not required to.
So what would be the safe handling mechanisms?
So I will tell you about how to set up a portable hand washing station. If it's a tent setup that you're just giving away, I might say, hey, you might want to have a same way the 3 basin setups. So I'll pretty much give you everything that TFE would have, because that way you would know how to properly wash dishes if you don't have a building to take them back to or whatnot. Tongs fall on the floor out there. You need to be able to properly wash, rinse, and sanitize that out there. I will
Okay.
also tell you about maybe getting some sternos to keep your food hot. But if you say, Brittany, well, we're only going to be out here for 2 hours, then I will show you how to use time as a public health control. Make sure you cook it to whatever the minimum cook temperature is, and you can actually hold it out of temp up to 4 hours. And then anything after that, you will have to discard it. So again, we would just kind of go off of what your menu, what's going on for that event, to tell you what's the best practice would be.
Okay. There was a year that we were doing a giveaway at our other location where we were. And I didn't know it then, but it hit me later. Somebody had rolled through.
Okay.
Hey, what are you doing? And I said, it's a fish fry giveaway for veterans. And she said, giveaway? I said, yes, ma'am. So you're not selling? I said, no, we're not selling. Are you a veteran? No, I just come ride through to see what was going on. I said, okay. And my mind was in the giveaway mode, was in
Right.
that event mode. But later, when I was rehashing stuff in my head, I'm like, you know what? I think she was one of them.
And one of them, that was us. Yes. Just doing our due diligence, making sure everything was good.
Yeah, rolled through the drive-through and everything. Just asking questions.
Yep.
Hopefully polite.
Yeah, she was
respectful.
very nice, smiling and everything.
And once
And-
realized that everything
and
was like
once-
it was should, and let you be, and
Yeah,
went on about your day. So.
I'm glad I had the right answers. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that was awesome. All righty then. So then employee practices, what is that?
For as the food handlers.
Yes.
Okay, so again, best practice would definitely be knowing how to properly wash their hands, wearing gloves, not touching food. Now, I will say this because some people, I don't want people saying, "Oh, I saw somebody touching my pizza toppings," and they're calling in because they didn't wear gloves.
Oh.
So certain food items like that, they can, because it's going to go through a kill step, meaning it's going to get cooked. Okay, so that's how people that work at pizza places are able to touch the dough and the toppings because it's going to go through a kill step. The only time that we might say, hey, hold up, you might want to separate, if they also use those same ingredients that go on a sub. A sub will not go through a kill step, especially like a cold sub. So those tomatoes that you're using for your pizza and you're also using for your sub, we're going to ask them to have two separate ones. Because the one for pizza, yes, you can bare hand contact, but the ones that go on the sub, you're going to need some tongs or use gloves for that.
And you said it's kill what?
We call it kill step.
Kill
because
step.
it's gonna
Okay.
get cooked.
Okay,
Yeah,
the heat.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, it's going
okay.
to kill off any bacteria that might be present.
Learning something. So the structure, the lighting, and we talked about pest control.
Yes.
So what kind of structure and what kind of lighting do I need?
So in the building, we're going to look at certain walls because we don't want anything that's absorbent. Because again, there might be splash or, when you're doing your cleanup process, we don't want it absorbent. So if you have wood in there, we're going to ask that it be sealed. Same thing like concrete floors, we're going to ask for it to be sealed as well. We don't want porous walls that, where things you can't easily clean it. Are going to be
Okay.
things that we're going to look at.
So what is seal?
It can be paint or a sealant, so long as sealed. So that way that nothing will absorb in that surface.
Okay. So concrete floor,
Uh-huh.
I have to put some paint on it or
Or
something?
some type of sealant, yes.
Oh. Okay. So this concrete floor.
This is fine because you got towel. It's
Oh.
already, you got towel.
Okay.
But like the beading there, we will have you replace that. You see how like that piece of wood is starting to come loose? So we will
Yeah.
have you put that back and then seal because again, we don't want where pests or water will seep under those things.
Okay. I gotcha.
Yes.
So I'll chime in. If you got a stomach problem or you're sick, don't go work in foods. Take the day off.
Yep.
That's a big thing.
Yep.
It's tough to tell people that, but
Especially if they like, this is my only job. I said, but you could make someone sick. We'd rather
Yeah.
for you to stay home
Yeah.
and not work while ill. So they have a health policy that they will have to sign whenever working in the food service, and that lets them know that they should not come to work while certain symptoms like diarrhea, vomiting,
Fever.
sore throat with a fever, all of those things, they should not come to work. Or if they get diagnosed, and I tell people all the time, diagnosed means you went to a doctor, not WebMD. So
Okay.
so you went to a doctor and they diagnosed you with salmonella, E. coli, or anything like that, norovirus, you cannot work while that. And then the owner or manager is supposed to let us know as well that they had an employee call out with that, because we have to give them permission to come back in to work as well.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So how many employers actually do that?
None. I haven't had one since out of all my years working.
Yeah, because they need that person to come back to work.
Right. Or one, sometimes people might not be fully honest and tell the boss because, again, that might be their only source of income and they need the hours, So they're like, if I'm out they have to stay out for 7 days, that's money not coming into their household. So I do sympathize with them, but I'm like, at the end of the day, you could really be messing it up for a lot of people. Because if that person, let's say that person that came to work while ill, is that person that's working on a salad bar that has to chop up everything, and they're touching and doing all of this and not properly washing their hands and everything, that could affect a lot of people.
It could.
Yes.
Now, what if I went to a restaurant and I saw the person do this? Cough or just do this. Should I be alarmed? Should I just walk out or what?
Well, I wouldn't walk out. Coughing here is fine because they didn't cough in their hands. I would probably say watch and see what else they do, because if they're doing this and they're doing a pizza, we got an issue. Okay. But if they're doing this coughing here and they're just working the register, it's fine. Best practice, again, I tell people sometimes it's just a perception because you did this. Just wash your hands because people are watching you. Just go ahead and wash. To let them know, hey, I'm going to go wash my hands, so that way they don't feel like, oh my God, they're going to contaminate my food items. So
It's almost impossible to wash your hands too much.
yeah.
I mean, you really, our inspectors generally, how many times do you wash your hands during an inspection?
Ooh. Every time I touch, I'm like, okay, let me go wash. I mean, I have to literally have lotion because by the time I get done, my hand is completely ashy because I don't wash all the oil out of it because I'm constantly washing.
So what about hand sanitizer? Will that work?
Hand sanitizer is only used in restaurants that I see people use after they wash their hands. We do not. It's not a replacement. So you don't say, oh, I do hand sanitizer. No, you have to wash.
Soap and warm water.
Yes.
But even as inspectors, we are constantly our inspectors are constantly washing their hands during the inspection as they move from one station to the next, as they touch something.
Right.
For safety, because we don't
Yep.
want to contaminate something during the inspection, and two, as an example, this is what you need to do, and we'll educate people on how to wash their hands.
We are modeling for them what we want them to do. So we come in there, like even like right now, I have my hair down, but when I go in, I'm gonna put a hairnet on.
Oh.
I have a watch on, I'm gonna take it off because these are things they can't have. They can't have anything, even if a medical bracelet, they cannot have it on their wrist. So we tell people that have those things, I'm like, hey, if you want to wear it around your necklace, you can, because our rules doesn't say anything about that. We all look about how to properly wash your hands. So I will remove my watch. I will put my hair up. I would do everything that I'm asking them to do. I would do it as well because I want to say, hey, they're not be saying what is the old saying, pot calling kettle black. Like, you know, like I'm saying do this, but I'm not following it as well. So yeah.
Okay, then. So what about handling money? Okay, I'm the only one working. So I'm doing it on a hot dog cart. So I'm taking your money and I'm fixing your hot dog.
So with that, so they have to have a barrier in between because they're not going to touch. They should not be touching the money with glove hands on and then taking those same glove hands and making your sandwich. So we would ask them to remove their gloves, take the money, and then that would be probably the one case like, hey, I want to use sanitizer, and then put the gloves on, but they're going to have a barrier in between your ready to eat food, which is the gloves and also the tongs.
Okay, so I don't have gloves. I ran out. I used my last one, but I'm taking your money and then I'm going to fix your hot dog with my bare hand.
That's a violation. If we walk up as a violation, it's a 2-point violation.
Okay, you're not around,
So,
but I'm serving people and they're not saying anything.
I might say Kent gonna call me. Kent gonna call and say, I think I got sick and I ate at this car. And matter of fact, they didn't have any gloves on when they was fixing my food. You know,
Do you take pictures sometimes?
if they provide us with pictures, we love it because it's no longer a he say she say type
Okay.
situation. So we do love pictures. We're like,
Okay.
nope, here's the proof. They sent this to us, and this is what they
We
saw.
generally don't take pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't take pictures.
Unless
Okay.
it's for education of our staff, but we don't generally
Yeah.
we're not going to broadcast pictures during
No,
it. We're going to try to handle the situation a little
Right.
more professionally.
And if we
it's not
do-
to embarrass or anything.
Right, yeah, no. We're not in that. So if we do take pictures, like you were saying, for education, we don't include your face. We don't include anything that will let people know it was your cart because then we don't want to be seen like we're trying to dismiss our
Sabotage.
yeah,
Yeah.
a character, or whatever, or just deter people from visiting your hot dog cart.
All right. This is the Awesome Radio Network right here. WECU 1570 AM and 107.5 FM. WNOS 1450 AM in New Bern, and also 102.3 FM in Rocky Mount, 100.3. We're talking with Britney Riddick and Kent Keeter about food safety and handling. Brittany is the food and lodging supervisor for Pitt County, and Kent Keeter is the environmental health supervisor. So for those who have just joined us with 5 minutes left into this program, Brittany, tell us again what your department encompasses.
Okay, so my section, we inspect the restaurants, your meat markets, your local confinements, your residential care and nursing homes. It's pretty much what you will see my staff doing
Okay.
those inspections.
Kent?
Okay, so environmental health encompasses many different programs, one of which being the food and lodging, the other being on-site wastewater and drinking water wells. So if you have a septic system in Pitt County, we would permit and inspect the installation of those and the permit and inspection and installation of wells. There's also mosquito control. So mosquito control for the Pitt County works through us. We also have a department that deals with public swimming pools and tattoo artists. And we also oversee child daycares, and we investigate elevated blood lead level. So if a child is exposed to lead paint and has an elevated blood lead level, we would investigate and try to figure out where that's coming from to try to help that family deal with that health issue.
Now, I know this may not pertain to your departments, right? But what is migrant housing inspections?
Okay, so I can talk about that.
Okay.
So we deal with permitted migrants who come to work specifically from farmers under the H-2A worker laws, federal laws. So
Okay.
these are your truly migratory workers that come in and work for a set number of time with a farmer. Generally in this area, it's going to be either ornamental trees or with tobacco. And they're going to leave and go back to their home country after the season. And they come and they go, and under that program, the farmer has to provide housing for those workers while they're here.
Okay.
So that housing is looked at under the NC Department of Labor, and when we do a migrant house inspection, we look at the things that we permit. So we will go out and we'll make sure that the septic system is sized properly and is working properly for that housing if they're on septic. And if they're on a well, we will take a water sample and make sure that their water is not contaminated. And then we will write a report and provide it to the NC Department of Labor saying that this house has a properly working septic system and the water is not contaminated. The NC Department of Labor would do the internal inspections of it for cleanliness and making sure that it's meeting their rules. And so that's migrant housing, like I said, is we only really look at the well and septic from in these farmers, and these are truly migratory workers that come in, work for a period, and then leave and go back.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. So food service, new establishment information. So what is it that I need to know again, just for the benefit of those who missed this information? I want to set up my hot dog truck, which I really do want to do that, right? But I can't because other stuff that I'm doing. So for the one that I want to live through, who wants to set up their hot dog cart, give us the information again. So if I have a thought about it, I just need to call you.
Yeah, call us first so that way we can kind of talk you through, hey, have you got this set up yet? Have you found your commissary? Have you even bought your cart or push cart or your trailer? So we kind of talk them through, because if you haven't gotten that step yet, we would say, okay, let's start there first. And then the next step would be completing the application online through the permit portal. Once they do that, then they will have to upload the menu, the actual specs that comes with it, the equipment that they're putting up there, the layout, and also it's a commissary agreement form that's attached to it. Because even though you might say, hey, Brittany, you can come in my establishment, but if I go out there and check it, I might be saying you can't use her. She doesn't have the space. So we can turn them down if they don't have the space. So we need to look at all of that. Also, if your menu is saying you're doing 5 or 6 different types of meats, you're cooking, cooling, all that, but your truck doesn't have the equipment, we're going to turn you down. We say we're going to have to scale down your menu, because we have to make sure you have the sufficient amount of equipment and space to accommodate what you have listed. So it's a lot of talking back and forth with it.
A little bit off that subject. What if I'm selling food from my house
It's illegal.
for a fundraiser for something?
So if it's for a fundraiser, we're going to ask you, have you already established a 501c3 as a nonprofit? Okay. So if you have that, you can operate once a month for 2 consecutive days and be able to sell food that will go to your nonprofit. If you don't have that, we're going to say, no, you're a legal operator. You can't do it.
Oh,
Now, say if you want to do it, say, hey, Britney, I want to do it 3 Saturdays. You cannot. You can only do it 1 Saturday for 2 consecutive days. So it can be like Friday, Saturday, Saturday, Sunday. You can do that. The other 2 times, you have to be in conjunction with an event, Watermelon Festival, Power Festival, Mum Fest, anything like that.
Brittany Riddick, thank you so much for joining us today.
All right.
Awesome information. Kent Keeter, thank you so much for joining us today. Awesome information. We love to have you back here on the Commissioner Mary Perkins-Williams Show. Meet us here every Wednesday. We're Awesome Radio. We'll see you the next time. The 11th Annual Youth Incarceration Prevention Ministry event beginning 12 noon Saturday, June 6th at St.